Isn't it amazing? It always works. Going live. Here we are again. This is Toni Weel, and of course, today we have with us Sara from Virtuous Unicorns. We have no special guest. I was hoping one was going to join us today, but he was working. So we're going to do an extra podcast so he can be on, and we're going to talk about a little about grounding and a lot about frequency healing. Because, we hear a lot about it, and I find it very interesting. I signed up with bought the software actually to use it, and I just never really got into it. And I definitely want to learn more about it and actively use it, because I really think it is an amazing addition to our healing that we do with, the change in lifestyle, the change in what we eat and how we live. What do you think, Sara?
No, I 100% agree with that too. And my grounding is usually walking barefoot outside and hugging trees, like I always say to do. What's funny too is what I've been doing, because we're moving into allergy season, is I have big honeysuckle trees that hang down real far, like right in my walking path. And I keep telling my mom, I said, well, I'm huffing honeysuckle every day. So I've been like sniffing the honeysuckle and of course touching the trees and, talking to them as I walk back and forth to the barn. So I don't walk barefoot to the barn. I will walk barefoot like around my yard and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, we had a question in the Dr. Morse fans group about that darn rusty nail that you can step in. Even as a child, I heard about that.
I did too.
Yeah, and because I pretty much grew up, on a farm. It was not our farm, but I was so nearby, I was always there. And so, yeah, we learned about that, but we didn't much walk around bare feet. I mean, that didn't come until I was in my teens, and I was always bare feet. But yeah, the tetanus scare. And they made it so bad with that scare that everybody who even thinks about having a cut somewhere, it's like, oh, you need a tetanus shot. Well, if you get it then, it would be too late. And I got one of the vaccinations I had to have for immigration was actually a tetanus shot.
Mm-hmm.
And not even knowing how detrimental that can be to our health, because I talked to a lot of people who had one and what the symptoms were, how bad it actually was. And it's not helping you with anything.
No.
It's just like, no, it's not doing you any good.
Nope, not at all. And I mean, growing up though, like we were always barefoot too, like playing in the street, playing in the mud. We used to even ride horses barefoot. We were always barefoot, bareback, and just riding around the woods. And, people always looked at us weird, but we were just wild kids, really. But, we grew up that way. Of course, I had tetanus. I think my very last tetanus shot I ever received was in 2004, but that was for a job I had back then. I think I received hepatitis and tetanus during that time. Working in the labs and stuff like that, they made sure you were pretty much up on everything. But that was the last time I've ever had anything, was I think 2004.
Yeah, mine were in 2001. And that one included some combination. I don't know if it was an MMR or something. And the other one was polio, of all things.
Yeah.
Because I thought that once you had that shot once in your life, you never need one again. And I traveled in the US for many, many years, stayed here for 3 months at a time. And I was because I was in a touring, I had a motorcycle touring company. So I was here often. Don't need a shot for that. But if you want to live here, now you need shots. So yeah, and my husband got some too, but he was in the military, so he had a lot of shots before. So he needed less than I did. They didn't
Was he in the US military or
Dutch?
Dutch, okay.
Well, he was in the Dutch Navy for I think it was 6 years. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're always vaccinating them, and my husband has had all the anthrax, all that stuff, and I think his last one he had was maybe like 2010 or something, they did the flu vaccine up his nose, even though he refused it. But they wouldn't allow him not to take it.
Yeah, we're guinea pigs.
Yes, well, especially them.
Yeah.
Katie's got some questions today. She's been reading about an hour, or she's been reading about our skin. So I have a question about pimples. She says, if pimples are a sign of toxicity and a way of our skin to detox, how come kids get pimples around the same time and not sooner?
I have never seen that. I don't know.
I mean, it might have something to do with puberty. I've never really looked into it, but I just wonder if that's like a way of like where our bodies are then transitioning at that time to bring more on. But
yeah, what Lauren Whiteman, for instance, explains it that when kids are together, they're usually on the same diet. So, it's no surprise. I've never had, not my daughter or granddaughter didn't have any pimples before puberty, but definitely I did have it then. And always had skin issues, these little on the upper arms, these little bumps.
Oh, those bumps. They call them like milk bumps or something like that is what they call them.
Yeah, and on my forehead, always on my forehead. So that's why I had, hair needed to cover that, because I was always picking on it. But that went away. It definitely is a sign of kidneys not functioning properly at any time. It doesn't matter, what kind of pimple you have, pimples, little pimples, big pimples, boils, whatever you want to call them. It needs to come out one way or the other. We have Grant here.
Oh, hi, Grant. Well, we have Grant, we have Dave, Katie, Sue, Ingrid. Yep, everybody's here. Welcome, everybody.
And Grant.
No, we never had any skin conditions in our families. I never, thankfully, around teenage years, nor has my son. And my son definitely does not follow this kind of diet. He does not eat meat or any cheeses. He will have ice cream here and there, but he doesn't drink milk. But he definitely has a very high carb, high fatty food diet. And he's never had any kind of pimples on his face, or he'll get some on his back. And I've even seen some like in his scalp, but I've never seen, he doesn't get them on his face, thankfully. And nor my husband either.
Yeah, of these blackheads, they see that a lot too. And I've seen that. Yeah, this is really weird. Dr. Morse sometimes talked about what is the name? Dr. Pimple.
Yep, Dr. Pimple Popper.
So he refers to her often, and I saw these videos coming by with, where they actually, what they do with all these pimples and these blackheads, and then you see cases, and it's like, oh my God, what are they eating? These are actually Asian videos or video clips or TikTok things, whatever. And their diet has become so bad over the years. There is so much more meat in dairy in it. It's unbelievable. So when we talk about the SAD, the standard American diet, it's no longer a standard American diet. It's an standard world diet. Yeah. It is every country. It's
Yep.
Okay, well, Grant, we were just talking before we started the live stream. We were just talking about you, and that we actually miss you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm still here. Just a lot of things going on at these same times, and this just happy to be here, and y'all. Everything it's all good. Yeah. As far as for that, I mean, happy to hear you and Sara and see everybody in the chat. And
see, we sent you the energy and you just showed up. That's how it goes.
You linked right up to us.
Right.
What y'all talking bad about me or what?
Oh no, we were to say we haven't seen you in a little bit and we're missing you.
Yeah, how can we talk bad about anyone?
So I'm definitely not putting that out there. So
No, but we
only
just
good goes
don't.
out.
Yeah, we just don't do that. I mean, it would be negative energy that would come back to you, and we want to
Oh,
send out positive energy.
that was a joke, Tony. That was a joke.
Oh yeah, well,
American jokes.
That's
yeah,
funny.
you always think that the Dutch don't get the jokes, but we definitely yeah, no, it wasn't seriously going into it. It was just like in general, no negative energy.
Exactly.
Try.
Of course not.
We
No,
try.
I never felt anything. I was just messing with you a little bit right there.
Okay,
As
well,
far as for that,
go
yeah.
ahead. I'm ready.
Well, we're very
I-
happy you're here. Yes.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here always.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't watch Dr. Pimple Popper. That makes me, it turns my stomach. I just can't. So, I mean, I'll
Well,
see the beginning of it, but I don't watch I'm like, nope, pass. But
you don't want to see the explosion.
no, I don't. It makes me sick. I've always had a thing with like skin or smells. They'll turn my stomach pretty quickly, but sometimes you got to deal with it and help people. I will definitely always help, but Katie's also says too, she's read that moles are parasites. So how come some people have so many and others have almost zero, if zero? And I always thought that the moles were like a fungus kind of buildup, or is that wrong?
I don't know. I have never read that moles are a parasite. Moles are connected with a weak parathyroid, so that is where you would go and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had any moles. My husband does, less than used to, and things are going away, but he is not 100% fruit. He does eat cooked meals once in a while. And but he is on high fruit, definitely high fruit and salads. So I just figured, it may take some years and eventually they will go away.
I remember we did speak of this before where we were talking about like, because I do have one on my arm that I always just imagine it will just fall off one day. And I remember us having that conversation, but I feel like we were talking about it more in a fungus type of related way. So it was kind of like a fungus buildup within us or yeast, candida, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that is what Dr. Morse said, you keep using the parasite M for at least a year to get rid of all these microorganisms. There's a lot of people with fungus, and this is actually, you can easily see that if you have that in your body because of the orange in your iris.
Yes.
And so that would be very easy to recognize and work on it. And how do you work on it? Same as with everything. We getting so many questions as in, oh, I have cancer, stage this, or I have a hernia, or I have, other things. It's always change the diet. And there is no way that you can treat any symptoms with herbs. It just doesn't work that way. It's like God did not create the herbs because we have a man-made disease. I mean, how can it even work like that? And I keep seeing that over and over, like, yeah, this herb is for that disease. Even all my beautiful herbal books, herbal remedies, and still, you have to be careful because it's not meant for the diseases that the allopathic, I call it industry, came up with. And you know what? I thought it was like 7,000 different symptoms. And we learned last week in Gary's show, Gary's, what was the word?
When he was talking in the podcast about the breathing.
Yeah, he talked about that, and he mentioned 22,000 different symptoms.
Oh, it seems like they come up with new stuff every day.
It's like in that one little body. How is it even possible? So that means there is even more options for all kinds of pharmaceuticals. See the word harm in that word. And it's just never ending.
Nope.
And the solution is always the same. It always goes back to, you have to change your diet.
Yep.
If you want to keep eating a standard world diet and add herbs or supplements, you're wasting your money.
Mhm.
And I know it is so much easier to keep eating what you like to eat, and then just pop a pill.
It's an
I mean,
addiction.
I've done it, yeah, but the whole
Mhm.
food thing is an addiction. We've talked about it quite often. And
Mhm.
it's like, I understand it's a struggle. I mean, we all experience it. It's nothing new. And
Yep.
we keep experiencing it. And it's like, I talked to people who were on all fruit 6 years ago and felt amazing, and things happen, some traumatic things, and you go back to the same old.
Yep.
And knowing that, fruits could actually make it easier for you to go through traumas because you just feel different. And once you start eating the cooked foods again, you go back and feeling down with low frequency and feeling tired and feeling depressed and being dehydrated. And you are in that same circle as always, and it's hard to get out. So it's like, yeah, it's every day. It's a new day, and every day it's another fruit day. That's how you start anyway.
Mhm. And what people are not understanding is it's our body that heals. The fruit just gives us the hydration. And in the beginning, the fiber is important to help move all the stuff that's been dried out in our bodies for so long. The water is important, especially during the detox. Even though, like, you'll hear me talk that I'm not a big water drinker, I have to force it down even to this day. It's very hard for me. But it's still so important, the whole process. And then the herbs can help to speed that process. Of course, you can do it without the herbs, but again, what we've said before too is the people that come to Dr. Morse and people like Toni and the rest of the practitioners, they're already at that point where every moment is counting. So we don't want to build up to that point. You want to get a hold of your health now while you still have time, because you don't want to fight an uphill battle. You want to just kind of do it now while you're feeling good. And those of you that need that extra help right away, then you're going to be hitting it really hard.
Yeah, because exactly what you're saying is like it keeps getting worse and worse, and you may only get these little signs, and you think that it's normal. It's normal to have, feel uncomfortable with something. I ignored all the symptoms my whole life, and I was like, I'm healthy. I kept telling myself I'm healthy until I got such a big kick in the butt. It was like, no, you're absolutely not. You need to change something. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the search to find what would really work, that was not easy, trying all kinds of things out. I still hear people like, yeah, somebody said to do keto. And yeah, keto works. Oh yeah, it may work for a short while, but in the meantime, your body is getting sicker. And yeah. Hey, I see that Deborah is going to Mexico. Well, you will have definitely better fruit than what we have here. I hope, especially if it's not shipped in.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Lucky,
we had that other
lucky
question
you.
from Ingrid too about the supermarket vegetables and fruit. Do they do the work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I mostly live on supermarket fruits, but I do shop, at different stores to get the best that I can get. And if it absolutely has no taste, so as actually organic watermelon, and it had no taste, it's like in well, I don't know, like an old cucumber. No, definitely not good. And then I find a conventional that is actually ripened and it's so sweet and delicious. Then I go for the conventional grown. So you just do what you can. And I don't want to forget this. Yesterday I had organic oranges from Sprouts, and not the ones they have in a bag, but the ones that are, what do you call it, loose. And they are so amazing. I mean, it was the first time that I had a good tasting orange, probably in about a year. So
Wow.
that was at Sprouts.
That's awesome. We're on orange juice right now. We started it on Monday and I've missed it so much that I'm so happy.
It makes you happy. I mean, sometimes when I hear Dr. Morse about it, and he has it, and he talks about the navels that he get and how sweet they are, and oranges have to be sweet, and then they are good for your body. If they have that, well, almost no taste or a kind of very tart taste, then it's not like an orange should be. But sometimes you really have to find them. And I've had them from local, and they were no good. And from actually an organic farm, not officially organic, but I knew they didn't use any spraying, any pesticides. But still no taste.
Yep.
And I didn't even look where the oranges this time came from. It's usually not Florida. It's often California.
We're on navels right now is what we were able to get. And I haven't looked either. My mom juices for me and then I just pick it up each day from her. But yeah, they're very sweet. They're very good right now. And they told us when we did pick them up that navels are what's in season right now. So we're enjoying them to the fullest. And
Yep.
keep in mind too, Ingrid, is that we can only do with what we have the available to us, and God knows where we are and what position we've been put in. So like we've said in the past too, just clean your fruit the best you can with some water and baking soda, pray over it, put God's energy into it, and eat it. That's all we can do at this point. I don't grow any of my fruit, so everything I get does come from a grocery store, and most of the time I do not do organic either.
No, that is what Lauren Whiteman actually said. She never does any organic fruit or veggies. She just washes them very well. And she said that whatever is in there or on there, the body will take care of it and get rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's available, I just go by whatever smells the best or looks the best. And if it happens to be organic, it's organic. If it's not, it's not. I do not.
Right.
Yeah, I don't worry about that at all. But
No,
Wow.
I very
because
much go off of scent. Like I'm that person who will smell the fruit. And if there is no smell to it, then we pass and we'll go somewhere else.
yeah, because when you start worrying about what you're eating, what you put in your mouth, it's not gonna work for you.
Mhm.
It is the fruit is, and I see it as an absolute blessing. We have beautiful fruit, and mangoes are getting in season. But yeah, often the mangoes are not ripe either, or they're very what is it? They have all these I call that threads in it. These
Mhm.
what do you call these things in mangoes? They get between your teeth.
I don't know. In a mango? The only thing I
No,
remember in a mango is like the giant, what they call it, a pith or pit or seed. I don't
yeah,
know what they call it.
they have these honey mangoes.
Mm,
It's like a piece of yarn in it. But
okay.
I
Like
cannot figure.
pulp. Like the pulp?
No, it's not the pulp. I forgot.
No,
Grant, you
yeah,
chime in.
no, there's some strings. I know exactly what she's
But,
talking about because that's
yeah.
the ones about the best ones we can get around here.
Oh
But
my.
what got me is Toni lives next to she's in the orange grove capital and she can't get no good oranges for a year.
Nope.
It's probably coming from somewhere else, right?
Yeah, it comes from California. All the oranges here, they go
Or
into these
Mexico.
no, I haven't seen them from Mexico. Definitely California. And we sometimes
Well,
can get Florida oranges, but we have these big plants here. There are in this area 3 big plants with that well-known name for
no,
orange juice. Yeah,
no. I've been, as I'm saying, I know that area so well.
yeah,
And there's orange trees everywhere. And they
yeah.
look, I don't know if you ever explained that, Toni, to the people that don't not aware of. when I was going there, it's been 20 something years already, but when I was around that area going in and out, there was orange trees that look like oak trees. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. These things were huge. They had probably been growing for 50 or 70 years. And they was huge. You know, they were, and it was fields and fields and fields and fields and fields of orange groves. You know, miles and miles of it. And it's like when them frost came and I'm not sure what years it was, the late 90s, early 2000s. It burned the hell out. It killed them, and we got the same problem here. I got my dad had planted some navel oranges. They probably 30 something years old, and the last couple of years for some reason, and it's never happened. Not that it didn't get that cold already, but they burned them. It burned the trees. I don't know what's going on with that, you know, because these, you know, in what it was, 89, these trees were already there. They was young then. But it got down to 9 degrees, stayed freezing for 3 days. They survived.
Wow.
But the last couple of years, it gets down to 20 something, and all the trees die. Well, not die, but everything falls off, and then it has to regrow again, and then it gets damaged again this last year. And it only, like I said, it's only like 20 something. It's like, man, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. The way with the way the weather works sometime. I'm not sure if it's the weather or anything, but you know, whoever's controlling that, you know.
Yeah, we had that greening disease here that caused 2/3 of the orchards were damaged, and they had to burn it down. They had to take it all down. And even where I live, it's an what is it, 55 plus park, but there is some land around it, and they had a lot of citrus trees, and you could pick whatever you want, and I think that is how it's supposed to be. And then came the greening disease, and they took all the trees down. So now there's nothing there but grass, and they use it for golfing.
Yeah, that's always good, huh? You take out the orange trees and put some golfing in. Son of a bitch. What the hell, man? How many golf courses you need in Florida?
Yeah, it's not really a golf course. All they can do is putting. But still, you mean, it's all that grassland, that acres, a few acres, you know, could easily have fruit trees on there. So, but anyway, I have new mangoes on my tree. Not all survived the cold and then the drought, but I still have some. And and now I know what they call it, stringy mangoes. Those are the ones that I don't like, and the ones that I am growing here, they're huge and sweet, and they're just perfect. So, but I have very, very tiny piece of land. And pretty much everything grows in pots, but and I have another I have a papaya tree with one papaya.
Yep, that's
Hey,
good. I mean, at least you're growing some stuff. I was
yeah.
looking at getting a lemon tree and an orange tree this year and just starting them out in pots. And then hopefully with the next couple of years when they're ready to be planted, then maybe I'll actually have something.
And would you have to put them in like an what is it, a greenhouse?
Yes, I was looking into like one of the English greenhouses where they have like the brick foundation. That's another thing I've been really looking into. If anybody wants to go down that hole, is look into red brick, how it's made, how it all comes about, it's fired, the time it takes to make it, and the energy and stuff that is put off from it. That's why a lot of the homes were made with red brick, and the streets were red brick back in the day too. There's a lot of good information out there about red brick.
Yeah, definitely in the Netherlands.
Yes.
Little clay.
Yep.
That's the same thing they did in Vietnam. They
Mhm.
would, it was on the side of the road. You can see them fixing bricks. They
Mhm.
would pack them into, I don't know, they had some little square
Yep.
section things off, and they would pack the clay in the water and mix, and all of that, and then they put it on the kiln.
Yep.
Oh
Exactly
yeah,
how it is.
and the kiln was made out of the same bricks that they was making.
But they're
You know
still
what I'm
doing
saying?
that in the Asian countries, Grant.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know that. That's what I'm saying. This
Yeah.
is 20 years ago. I haven't been back in probably 20 years. Last trip I made was 2002. That was the last trip. So over 20 years. But yeah, that's the thing I loved about visiting different countries, because I never said that before to y'all, but I was on a motorcycle by myself going everywhere. I couldn't really speak the language at that time. I got better over the 4 trips, 4 years. But, it, I just, I, I didn't want to see what everybody else seen. Okay. I didn't go there to see what the tourists see. I was going in the countryside. I was riding in places where I was the only American there. Okay. The only American in these damn small communities. And everybody's waving to me. And it was like, wow. It was just weird, because everybody either waving or they can't believe it, because no foreigner, let's put it that way, no foreigner just goes by himself in these kind of communities that have about 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? Or a couple thousand people. And it's like, yeah, that's, and the trees. I remember my father-in-law, he planted a doodoo tree. I don't know if y'all know what that, I'm not sure how to say it in English. It's sort of like a papaya, but it's not, it's a green one. But he planted it, and then I left. And the next year I came back, it was like 11 months. And the damn tree was 20 feet tall, and had all kind of fruit on it already, ready to go. I had never seen no plant over here do that. And I'm in the southern part. Even in Florida, I don't see that grow that fast. So something about uh it's more something about closer to the equator or ley line or something there. It's everything, bananas, all of the fruit, they grow tremendously quick. And I don't see that here. So there's definitely something going on over there. Maybe it's just because it's the tropics close to the equator. I don't know. Maybe it's on a ley line, but
And where exactly is that, Grant?
Vietnam.
Oh, in Vietnam. Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Southern Vietnam.
Yeah.
As far as for ley lines, because Vietnam is a long, skinny country. It's not like us. It's a little bitty portion of what United States is. But there's different. You go from the marshes in the south, like where I am. We're in the marsh area here. This is marsh, swamp, stuff like that. And then you go to where it's just sand and the beaches and stuff like that. Then you go to the mountain area in Vietnam, and then you go to the more colder, which would be Hanoi. So it's a very But where I was at is the southern part, the southern portion, you know, around beaches and stuff like that. That's kind of, you know, I'm a beach man. That's kind of where it was. But I don't know. I just something was very different over there. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't figured it out because I haven't been back, like I said, for 20 years. But maybe one day go back and check it out again and with
Yeah,
new eyes, you know?
yeah.
Mhm.
I see a lot of people traveling to, it's also Bali and in Thailand, in Mexico, Vietnam, just for the different fruits. Because I never knew there were that many varieties even of mangoes that you can get in Thailand, for instance. I do see, and I still have to check that out here. There are some Asian grocery stores that have completely different fruits than what we can get, you know, regular in the grocery stores. So it would be interesting to also check that out here.
Mhm.
I have no
Yeah.
idea how they get that, because you would say it's like it's not commercial, so it doesn't come in big what is it, containers full to be shipped all over the country. But you do see that the Asian countries have, or the Asian stores have completely different fruits. It would be a good thing to check that out. By the way,
Mhm.
did you know that Florida had a massive area of where they grew pineapple? More to the southeastern part. And there is still, at least a few years ago, there was still a farm who was growing pineapples there. But that already stopped, I believe, from early 1900s to mid 1900s. There was some kind of disease under the plants, and it died out. And pineapples are growing great. I mean, I have I had a first pineapple that I grew myself from a store-bought non-organic pineapple. And last year the critters were ahead of me, so they ate it, but I could already smell it from quite a few feet away. And so I was too late. This year, we didn't do anything to the plant. We didn't put it in a different pot, and it looked absolutely, totally pathetic. And it was like, well, we'll see what happens. And now there are 2 pineapples growing in there. And I read about how you have to prune them and what you need to do. I didn't do anything. I just let nature take its course. And now I'm going to have 2 pineapples.
That's awesome. While listening to you and Grant talk, I was thinking, which we won't get into that subject on this show, or even maybe even on your platform, we won't get into it, but just something to think about. If stuff does grow very well in Vietnam, like what Grant was saying, it kind of makes you wonder what the whole Vietnam War might have really been about, especially what was sprayed all over everything. And then the next is when what happened in Florida with the pineapples. I wonder what the timeline would have been when Dole kind of took over the purchase of, or the growing of all of the pineapples that we do receive.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of interesting. And then that kind of wraps back around is, do we even really know what fruit is and what the fruit is really supposed to look like and taste like? So again, we can only do the best with what we have at our disposal at this time, and just eat the fruits, make your body strong, because your body is what does everything. The fruit is just what gives it the liquid and nourishment that it needs at this time. But if you get your body strong enough, you don't even really need any of that stuff, and you don't really have to worry about the pesticides then, because your body is so strong that you can just repel it or pass it through, or I don't know exact chemistry that happens within your body. But by making your body as strong as it possibly can be, that's through meditation, food, grounding, breathing, all the things that we've been learning. Our bodies are amazing. They're meant to live for 1,000 years. But we've just slowly killed them every single day with what we keep putting in our mouth and the thoughts we take and the words we speak.
Very, very true. And you made me think about what you say. We don't really know what fruit is supposed to taste. Now, I was born in 52, so back then I think the fruit wasn't as messed up as it is nowadays. So I have the memories of a certain taste. But I have to admit, the very first pineapple I ever ate came out of a can. So that is the taste that I have in mind, what a good pineapple should taste like. And very rare did I have a fresh pineapple. The taste okay, but then it burned in my mouth so bad that I couldn't eat it anymore. Well, that could be because it wasn't tree ripened and it was already fermenting. And but it's kind of funny that the taste that you remember was from a pineapple that came out of a can.
Hmm. I think a lot of us all grew up that way too, was out of a can. And
And I see, oh, you mentioned, Sarah, something about a jackfruit.
mhm.
The jackfruit is only sweet when it is really soft on the outside, and you can kind of, with your hands, pull it apart. And in a grocery store, and then you pick out, the pieces. But in a grocery store, I've only seen them so very hard that it's definitely not ripe, and it definitely
Mhm.
has not the taste that you would like it to have.
Yeah.
Well, the jackfruit, you have to let it ripen usually, even in the Asian markets. That's something I mean, I had a big bowl of it the other day. The best, I don't know, of all the fruits, I never tasted all of the fruits, but from what I tasted, that's one of the sweetest, but you have to let it ripen. We had a tree in my wife's front yard, and it was like they would have some huge ones, 20-pound jackfruit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
20, 30 pounders, some big, look like a watermelon growing in the damn tree. That was the weirdest thing, is a watermelon growing out of a tree. It's that huge. But
Wow.
you have, when you let it ripe, yeah, like Tony's saying, you can just pull it apart basically.
So you're
Yeah.
saying that it actually ripes off the tree. I thought it had to ripen on the tree.
Well, it does. We let it ripen there, but it can ripen after. It's
Okay.
it's it does do that, because I mean, we leave it for 2 or 3 days. Okay, so it's kind of like a banana, maybe, because a banana was the only one that I knew that would ripen after. If you're familiar what I'm talking about, even a banana could be picked green. It still ripens. It has that
Yeah.
certain ingredient in it that lets it ripen. As where anything, most of all the vegetables and fruits, if you pick them green, they won't ripen. Yeah, I got some bananas, well, not bananas, what it was, grapes and stuff like that. They just ferment, they mold, stuff like that. They turn to mold, and, all of those is, yeah, we had big big one, jackfruit, and wow, that is to me one of the best fruits they have for the sweetness. It's just when it's ripe, it's just delicious,
Yeah, I have to try. I
delicious.
have to try that then.
Mhm.
But I never bought a whole one because they're so huge.
Mhm. Well, you can
But
buy halves or something, portions in the Asian markets, if you have the Asian markets around. We so happen to have
so it
Asian
would
markets
still
around here.
that is weird. It would still ripen when it's actually cut up. That's
No,
interesting.
no, no, no.
Oh,
Not before.
okay.
Before sometimes they are a little hard, so they'll just sit it outside for 2 or 3 days. Just let it sit outside.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. That's not my thing. I'm not Asian. you know, it's learning. Observation. It's all observations. I see this, and it's like, okay, it works.
Yeah.
how can I don't, it can't be wrong. It's working, it's like, and that's all, and they leave it on the outside for a couple of days or whatever, and boom, it's good. It won't hurt it, is what I'm saying. Staying
Sarah,
outside.
Sarah, we talked a few weeks ago about a certain fruit that was given to me, and I couldn't remember the name. And was that egg fruit?
Yeah, egg fruit. That was it.
Yeah, I don't know
Mhm.
what it had to do with egg, but it did taste pretty good. So, and you cannot find them here in the stores.
No.
The only one who was selling is Miami Fruit.
Yeah, I was gonna say Miami fruit. Is it Miami Fruit Market
I don't
or
know.
just Miami Fruit?
Yeah, probably I get their emails every day what they have, but you have a
Mhm.
box, not even that much, with fruit, and it's like $70-$80.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
good.
for special occasions.
Yeah. I was always drawn to jackfruit because growing up, my favorite gum was juicy fruit, and I was always told that jackfruit tasted like juicy fruit.
I had not even
Exactly.
heard about jackfruit until a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh
where
yeah.
they got the recipe from to make the
Mm-hmm.
jackfruit gum.
And I would use
Oh,
I
the
have
juicy
used
fruit.
jackfruit to cook because you can make it taste like pulled pork. Um, yeah, I've had pulled pork sandwiches using jackfruit. And I remember the very first time I had that, I was in love. So
Yeah.
that was one of my go-to things. And you can pretty much make it taste like anything you want it to taste like with seasonings and stuff. But I haven't had it in so long in that form. But the last one I had, like I said, I don't think it was properly ripened or whatnot. But I'm willing to definitely try that again.
Well,
And
they
this year we're gonna
use
eat the
yeah.
Not
I
with the
can't think what they're
pork though.
called. The ones we have growing out here, papals or something.
Yeah, papaws.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Papaws.
definitely eat those this year.
You're not gonna do it with the pork though, huh, Sarah?
What was that? Sorry.
You're not gonna do it with the pork again, right?
Oh my goodness, no. I can't even. It's been so many years since I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I've eaten something that's probably had an egg in it, or sometimes, people withhold the truth of what you're really eating. But, the last like few years, it's become a lot more strict where I know it's not. But in the past, I'm sure I have had something. But consciously, I have not eaten meat in many years. Yep. I don't think I could again either. The smells of it make me sick. Some people are like, oh, the grill smells good. No, it doesn't. It actually makes me sick. It smells like sizzling skin is all it smells like to me, and it makes me sick.
Yeah.
Yep. That's for sure. But yeah, I want to have one of those gardens eventually. So if we do get a farm or we do, purchase the farm, then I definitely want to build one of those. And they look like those little English ones from maybe even on the French countryside or something, but they're all glass and they got the brick bottom to them. I don't know how big it'll be, but I want to have some orange trees for sure and lemon trees, more orange than lemon because I'm a big fan of orange, but we can grow cherries, apples, grapes, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries. I mean, we can grow a lot here too, even just outside.
Yeah, but that would pretty much be the same as what we could grow in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
yeah, apples
Yep.
were always a favorite, but we had all the berries. And as a child, when I walked to school, we went walk to school along a kind of a dirt road, and we could not pick the berries going to school, but on the way back, yeah, we came home with black fingers from the blackberries, and it was just out in nature. It was everywhere. You don't have that anymore. It's all taken down. All these bushes are gone. You don't have that in the wild anymore, because that is the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's finding in the wild. I do hear people about foraging, and actually we could on the website add a group about foraging and where people can
Mhm.
share
Yeah.
what would be good areas. because we
Mhm.
talk about where can you buy the good fruit, but where can you actually forage? There is a whole industry about the wild blueberries. I wonder if there are really wild blueberries where you can just pick, or they belong
From
to somebody.
from what
But
I know, there are.
yeah.
And Ohio's loaded with mulberry trees too. You just
Oh,
gotta look up.
wow.
They have a very short growing season, maybe of just, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. But mulberries are amazing. You just sit there and just eat them.
Yeah, I've done that. Sometimes on the farmer's market, I can get mulberries. They are really long, very sweet, and it's a lot of fun eating them. And I almost bought a mulberry tree, but then I asked her how big does it get? She said way big, and I was like,
Very
"Nope,
big, yes.
not enough land here. I don't want to have it too big and then have to cut it down, so that's not happening."
Yep. We have small ones and we have very large ones. And I know where a lot of them are, so we just go around and find them and eat them.
Nice.
And I have frozen a bunch of them too. We used to make jam. I haven't made that in a while, but mainly was eat them. Definitely, if you're going mulberry picking though, you want to wear shoes that you don't really care about, because the bottoms will be stained purple and your hands will be stained purple and your
Uh-huh.
face.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no
And
way
we don't,
around it.
yeah, and we don't look at any worms that may be in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. We had a lot of stink bugs on one of the trees and we just left it. And then we went to we found other trees too. And I mean, we probably have maybe like 20 of them between around my mom's house and my own home. So we just kind of move around to them.
I have seen cities where they started with fruit trees along the streets, lining the streets with fruit trees. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if they would do that?
Yeah, that would be. It'd be more maintenance maybe in the cities though, because you don't have so many. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe possum raccoons would be coming around and cleaning up, but
Oh gosh,
yeah,
yeah.
that would make it pretty messy for cities, but country, yeah, that's good.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they definitely have mulberries in Indiana too. And
Yeah,
I don't
so
know much
even
about it, but I imagine they're kind of
yeah,
all around this area.
so even when you go further north, there is still local fruit available. It's
Hmm.
going to be less when you are in cold Canada,
Yep.
but
But cherries grow like right up in the upper peninsula of Michigan, and that gets very cold up there too. And they have some of the best cherries. And cherries also come from, what is it, Rainier, Washington?
yeah,
So, I
yeah,
mean, very far north, there's fruit that still grows.
yeah. Yeah, we just have to be creative, but not everyone has that opportunity to grow things. I really hope that eventually the website Garden of Eden.social can help, where people can, build communities, where a community builds lands or buys land and then built on it. Build or plants. That's the word. Plant fruit trees on it. That would be amazing.
I think it would be amazing if we would have a very large area where we could have a large fruit forest, and then maybe everybody could live on the outskirts of the forest.
Yeah, that would
And
work.
then you could just go into the forest every day and get what you need.
Well, I remember that from my sister. She had right across the border. She lived near the German border. Right across the border in Germany, you had a piece of land where you could build. You could plant fruits, veggies, whatever you wanted to plant there, and it had a little tiny house with it. It had a one-room thing. It was not that you could live there, but you could be there. You could stay there. You'd be there in the weekends, work on your yard. And it was a pretty big area. And I remember seeing those kind of things a lot in Holland along the railroads. And that was where people used to go in the weekends. They would work in their yard because that is where they would get their veggies, not from the stores.
Hmm.
And we got away from that. And I think we have to work on getting that back and see what the opportunities, the possibilities are to do that.
Hmm.
But those were pieces of land that were actually given to the people to use it. Way back when you didn't even have to pay, like rent for it. I remember my sister bought it that in Germany, I think, with that little house on it, and it needed a lot of work, but it was quite a big piece of land for 2,500 euros. That's close to $2,500. So, and I think it was absolutely at least a half an acre.
Mm-hmm. And that I've been reading about, and I was just posting in the comments too about permaculture. I think I talked about it a few weeks ago, but I have a book called The Sustainable Homestead, and it's about learning about permaculture, where you have, like, say, the giant apple tree, and you get like the full size apple tree. So it's a very big apple tree. And I forget how many, I mean, it produces, of course, it's in the book, but lots of apples. I mean, I was going to try to look real quick, but I'm not quick enough. So you have like a giant apple tree, and then underneath that, say you have a smaller mulberry tree, and then you have, I can't think, maybe like a pear tree or peach tree, something like that. Then underneath that on the ground, you have ground cover growing like mint or something like that will then repel the bugs or what not from growing on it. And then you have other stuff that fixes the soil and puts all the nitrogen and all that stuff in the soil. And then you don't have to maintain it because you've put all of the stuff around the trees that it will then maintain itself. And it's permanent agriculture. And you don't have to come back and replant. You don't have to do anything. It just continually takes care of itself. And that's how a fruit forest is then built. From that, it just gets bigger and bigger. And they're called guilds. You build a guild around the tree, and they all help each other and work from each other that way. And so
what was the
very
title of that
interesting.
book?
What was that? Sorry?
What was the title of that book?
It's called The Sustainable Homestead. I'll go ahead and I'll put it in the chat too. It has so much good information in it. And she's I believe she's vegan, because they used to eat their eggs a long time ago, but she doesn't even eat the eggs anymore. So all the animals on the farm actually have a job. They're not just there to be there. So like the sheep will eat the stuff that's really close to the ground. The horses eat stuff that's a little bit higher. The goats will eat shoulder length. So, and then she just rotates them all through.
Goats eat everything.
Well, goats usually only eat anything that's shoulder length and above. They don't like to eat completely on the ground, whereas sheep will just kind of take your grass all the way to the ground.
Well, then I didn't teach my goats very well. They ate everything, including the rhubarb and the roses, whole rose bushes, everything.
Wow.
On the ground, up high as they could get, as high as they could climb. It was a nightmare.
Well, any animal will eat if they are not given if they don't have enough, they'll eat whatever it is. And that's the same thing with the horses too. Like when you start seeing them eating leaves and bark and branches, they're not getting the nutrients that they need from the ground. Yeah. So any animal will eat anything if it's not given what it really needs.
I thought, have enough grass. So that is what they would do, go, the grass. But when they didn't like it, there was a fence around it. Well, at first they just climbed over the fence and it was high. And when we fixed that one, they figured, okay, we dig a hole and we go underneath the fence. And I had some people in that little village telling me, Toni, your goats are here. And I was like, oh no, my God, I have to get them again. And
goats are very curious by nature too. They'll go anywhere.
They were like puppies. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
So it's amazing, and it's very interesting on what we could make the world look like. Yeah. And there's just so much to learn, and I hope we have a lot of time to learn and really change everything and come together.
But we have to do it. We are the ones who have to start it.
That's right. And I believe we have started it. So
we cannot wait for others to do it for us. There is actually the way that you just described with that guild around the tree and how it should be. There is a farm on the West Coast near the Gulf of Mexico, and he also makes videos about how he does it. Wow. And that is exactly what he does.
Yep, that's what she does too. She's on TikTok and Instagram and what's the other one? YouTube.
And do you know where she is?
She's in New Jersey, of all
Oh,
places,
okay.
too, doing all this. And her
Okay.
place is called Axe, like AXE, Axe and Root Homestead. And so she does make all those videos as well, too. And I got her book, so it was very nice.
Okay, yeah, definitely want to look into it. I don't have the opportunity here, but it's a good thing to share.
Yes. There was one other thing before we did stop. I was listening to Dr. Morse before we got on the show today, and he said something that kind of I wanted to share with everybody, but he said we all have unique skills and are masters at those skills, no matter what they are or how big or little. Then when we come together, we are so powerful. We all have a way of articulating this one truth, and it vibrates at different frequencies. That is on purpose so that we can reach as many others as possible at no matter what frequency they're on. So the way I speak, only certain people are going to hear it. The way Toni speaks, other people are going to hear that. And the way each and every one of you share the one truth, then other people are going to be able to hear that, because we all resonate at different vibrations and frequencies. So that's where we all do play a part together, no matter how big or how small. We are all just as important as each other, because we're all in this together.
Thank you, Sarah. That's beautiful.
And he says, always be humble, because we didn't know at one point either. So
Yeah.
always be humble with your knowledge and be kind.
Yeah, we just had Mel popping in just before we want to close. Mel, do you have a question for us?
Mhm.
Or do you want to share something? You have to unmute yourself. I don't know I hope Mel can hear us and find the unmute button.
Hi there. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get this going. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I'm just wanting to join and listen in.
Yeah, we usually do the show for about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So we were coming up to the end of it.
Oh, okay.
Did
worries.
Did you just started listening in?
No, I've listened to you guys before, but probably on YouTube. So,
Oh, okay. Well, it's great for you to be here. I would like to everyone, I mean, probably you've been on last week's show with Gary Parent. I think his what he shared with us had so many nuggets in it. It was so good. Lots of things I wasn't even aware of. I wasn't even aware of how important it is for our healing. So I would urge literally everyone, please do listen to that show. It was amazing what he had to share.
Yes, that was a very powerful show indeed. And thank you all, everyone in the comment section, and Grant and Mel who called in. It's so wonderful to hear from you all. And Toni, thank you for all of your gnosis.
Well, thank you, Sarah. You always add so much to this podcast.
Well, thank you.
I would like to ask everyone to like the video and share when you can. And please do check out gardenofeden.social. We will soon do a video and take you by the hand and show you around what is all there, because there is so much information in a pretty big variety of groups already. And I will add your book definitely there too, or you can actually add it, Sarah, in the one of the groups, because it is about we could have it all linked under homesteading. But there is a lot of information there, and a lot of good links and books, and we keep working on it. And it is a website that is actually, especially in the groups, that is built by the community. It's not just me adding things there. Everybody can add the things that they know, and we all know different things. So I would love to see more there. So guys, I hope you go to gardenofeden.social. We want you there. We need you there.
Mhm.
And build out the communities and do it, all over the world. We can do that. So thanks
Absolutely.
all for being here. A ton of love from me.
And me.
And yeah, until till the next time. So thanks everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Love you, Tony. Love you, Sarah.
Love you
Love
too.
you, everyone.